Welcome. Welcome to your community mental health, hosted by NAMI Miami-Dade at Community News. I'm Susan Racher, board president of NAMI Miami-Dade County. We are the Miami-Dade and Keys affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We provide support groups, education, advocacy, information, and outreach to our community. Everything we do is free of charge. We are a peer-to-peer organization. So what is that? That means that our programming is provided by individuals with lived experience, either as family members or as individuals who have had mental health challenges. We meet people where they are, and we are a powerful ally in recovery and support for people with mental health conditions. This is Mental Health Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I am wearing green for a reason. Green is the color of mental health, and like spring, it brings to mind rebirth, recurrence, and health. And that's what we do at NAMI Miami-Dade as well. We help people recover. We support them. Today, we will be talking about mental wellness, particularly among youth, and our amazing programs and our consummate walk on May 21st in Maurice Ferre Park in downtown Miami. Joining me to talk about these topics of mental health is Kate Edelson. Kate is our NAMI Walk manager, as well as a presenter in our signature program, Ending the Silence. Welcome, Kate. It's so good to be with you today.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited for everything that we have planned and for our upcoming walk. And so I'm so happy we get the chance to talk about this today.
Thank you, Kate. You bring to NAMI such a wonderful depth of experience. If you could share with our audience what brought you to NAMI and what your experience was before you joined us 4 years ago.
Absolutely. So my awareness around mental health started at a very young age when I was in middle school and high school, and a lot of my friends and peers, and myself included, started experiencing mental health conditions. And this ranged from depression, anxiety, PTSD, and undiagnosed bipolar disorder. And so I was confronted with these issues from a very early age, very, very early on. One of my good friends from high school actually couldn't graduate with us because he had an undiagnosed mental health condition. And that was very hard for all of us, and hard for him to watch us cross the stage without him. And so when I went to college, I was always drawn into psychology and neurosciences and all of these topics, not really making the connection between my experiences and the field itself. And so when I was in college, I ran into my own wall with mental health conditions. I was experiencing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and I was still engaging in self-harm, which was a habit I had picked up from a young age as well. And so I hit a wall, and then one of my closest friends and my roommate in college experienced her first ever manic episode and was hospitalized. And so all of this had a huge, huge effect on me. And that's when I sought out NAMI for the very first time. I was looking for something, as a psych major, I was looking something in the field of psychology. I was looking for something that would help me figure out what I wanted to do post-college, of course. And I started volunteering at the NAMI National Helpline. And so that involved picking up the phone, talking to peers, so those with mental health conditions, also family members, clinicians, and also talking to people who were just looking for help, looking for resources all over the country, since it's a national helpline located in Arlington, Virginia. And so I talked to so many parents who were concerned about their adult children experiencing mental health conditions for the first time. So many people lost, so many people like me and my friends. And I sort of realized what a epidemic it was, that it was so widespread that everyone was sort of going through the same thing and that no one really knew what to do or how to find resources. And so that really impassioned me, and I knew I wanted to do something to help this problem in the future. And so when I did graduate and I came back to Florida, being a South Florida girl,
Mhm.
I started to look for work in the field, and I discovered that Miami had its local affiliate as well. And then I started volunteering, and here we are 3+ years later.
And gosh, are we happy about that. So for the audience, I want you to understand how important it is to know that there are many people who have had mental health challenges throughout their lives, who are living and flourishing and doing really well with them. I myself am the parent of a young man who had a serious mental illness in college. We were unprepared for what had happened to our son. Now we know through NAMI and the information that we educated ourselves with that most mental health conditions occur in teens and in the 20s. So 75% of all lifetime onset of mental health conditions occur before age 30. My son, Kate, and countless other amazing people that we work with have had these experiences. We work really hard at NAMI to take stigma away from the conversation, to help people understand that they could get help, to direct them to where they can get help, and to normalize the conversation. Kate's work at NAMI has influenced thousands of students in the Miami-Dade public schools to be able to seek help and to be able to talk about mental health and mental wellness and mental unwellness. So I'd like to pivot to your work, Kate, with our Miami-Dade schools, because I will set a landscape for our audience that is something that we as parents, teachers, grandparents, members of the community need to know about. The American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, and the Surgeon General have all rang alarms about youth mental unwellness. In a survey in 2021, roughly 44% of high school students in a very large survey indicated that they had feelings of persistent, and the persistent is the important word, because we all wake up blue, or we don't feel like getting out of bed, we don't feel like doing something, in a fleeting way, persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. A more alarming number is that 20%, that's 5 children in a class of 20, 25, 20% of all high school students surveyed, again, a broad survey, said that they had considered suicide. Black children are twice as likely to die from suicide now as white children, and yet access to care for communities of color is still very, very low, with about 35% or less people who need mental health care getting it. So, Kate, you've been doing a lot of missionary work, not only in setting up and lifting up our walk, but also in working with students. Can you tell us a little bit about, and tell our audience a little bit about your work with Ending the Silence and what your perceptions are of these students and what is happening in our schools?
Absolutely. So Ending the Silence is probably one of the projects most near and dear to my heart. It was one of the first things I did when I came to NAMI, is I became an Ending the Silence presenter. Since then, I have gone on to continue to do presentations, but I also train peers and family members to do these presentations as well. So I've been on both sides. As an Ending the Silence presenter, before the pandemic and after the pandemic, I've seen a lot of changes within our students. And so Ending the Silence is a 50-minute presentation that talks about the warning signs, the stigma around mental health conditions, and the resources available to students if they think that they or someone they know is experiencing any of these things. And so it's a really amazing presentation, because not only are they receiving this information, but they're receiving it from someone who has that lived experience. So the person giving the presentation, and it's a two-person presentation, is either a peer with a lived experience or a family member or a close loved one of someone with a mental health condition. And so they are giving information along with this lived experience, and it really ties it together for the students in a way that otherwise the information may not be received or understood quite as well. And so not only are the kids hearing like, this is what it might look like if someone is experiencing a mental health condition, it's literally, this is what I experienced. And that makes a huge difference. And the students really perk up and listen when they hear, this is actually what I went through. And so the students learn about what to do if someone they know is thinking about suicide, warming them up to the idea that it's okay to ask these kinds of questions. Are you having these thoughts? And then also giving them a plan so that they don't feel completely lost when and if they are confronted with these things, which we now know with all those statistics is becoming more and more of a reality every day. And so I love doing this because the students are given an opportunity that they don't usually get. And not only do they see that, this is someone with lived experience, I'm just another human being, and they even see a list of celebrities that they recognize. I even tell them, hey, if you recognize someone on this slide, call it out. And, the whole class is shouting, oh, Will Smith, Lady Gaga, I didn't know Leonardo DiCaprio had OCD, all of these things. And they're so excited to recognize those people. And to know that, you can have a great life, a successful life, and live with a mental health condition or even multiple mental health conditions. And so that's really uplifting. And, coming out of the pandemic and seeing the students on the other side now, they're a lot more mature, but also a lot more open. And so they have been, telling us about their experience.
I mean, it's so wonderful that they feel comfortable talking about it now.
Yeah, it's such a change. There's a definite change that I see in the students, and especially as a trainer now, I hear it from our presenters as well, who are like, these kids, we didn't even have any time to go over the evaluations at the end. They asked so many questions. They wanted to know what to do. So we're really seeing huge changes with that. And it's just really incredible that these students have this opportunity. I really wish I had had the same thing growing up.
And I wish so too as a parent. So I talked about how our son's mental health decline came as a surprise. Well, once I became educated in the warning signs that Kate and our Ending the Silence instructors teach, as well as our education programs cover, once I became familiar with them, I realized these were going on. Check. Not sleep, change in sleep habits, isolation, change in the amount of joy that you receive from things that normally give you joy, change in eating habits, problems with school, problems finishing tasks or concentrating.
Yeah.
When I became educated in these things, it was check, but I didn't see the warning signs, which is what prompted me to throw myself full, feet first into becoming a mental health advocate to help other families. And I know you've done the same with students. And there are two barriers to getting mental health care. One is knowing where to go, and the other is stigma. So let's talk about how we help students and their families know where to get help. And then let's talk about stigma. It's still there. It's still rampant. What do we do to manage those two very, very large barriers?
Absolutely. And so as far as letting students and families know what to do, we talked about ending the silence for students. There is, of course, ending the silence for families as well. So you talked about how, as a parent, that was a big component for you. Education changes everything. We know this now. We know this now. And so having a program for the students is a great step, but we need it for the families as well. And so NAMI Miami has done an incredible thing that no other NAMI has done thus far. And not only do we have this presentation for family members, but we also provide it in Spanish, which is key for our community. As we know, we have over 60% of citizens in Miami-Dade who are Hispanic or Latino, and it's a huge necessity. And so having this presentation in English and in Spanish for families is huge. And then, of course, we have our support groups and the education programs, also in English and in Spanish for both peers and for family members. And then on top of the support groups, there are the education courses, which are more intensive, going over the different diagnoses, going over what the Baker Act is, what the Marchman Act is, all of the resources available, treatment, the whole spiel. And then, of course, our warm line and helpline. And so all of these programs are staffed by people who have that lived experience, again, either as a peer or a family member. And the same goes for our helpline. And so I called it a warm line as well, because it's more than just a resource line. You know, you're not just calling, yes, maybe because you're looking for a clinic or you're looking for some help with resources in general, or you want to know more about our programs, but also you're getting an empathetic ear that you might not find otherwise at a clinic. We have been there and we can talk you through. And, you know, those friends that I mentioned, the friend from college, the one in high school who wasn't able to graduate on time, they are huge success stories. I mean, one of them is working full-time, salaried, doing very well, you know, with schizoaffective disorder, which is huge. And then the other one is getting her PhD in chemistry. And so when I talk to parents about this, and, you know, your son is a perfect example of this as well, there is hope. You know, it's not a straight, easy line, and you need a lot of guidance. And that's why it's incredible that we have these programs. We're here and they're free. You know, you don't have to pay for it. Like, we're literally here. We want to hold your hand. We want to help you in any way we can. And of course, you need that clinical aspect, but I think what we offer is beyond unique.
And our programs are all available on NAMIMiami.org. Everything is free, easy and accessible, and currently they're on Zoom. In fact, I heard in our Spanish programs we have people from Spain and Costa Rica,
Puerto Rico.
So come join us. Community is really important, and connection is really important. And the other barrier that we should unpack is stigma. And stigma is really rampant, particularly in the Hispanic community, in the African American communities, and in the Haitian communities. There's a huge history of prejudice against folks with mental illness. There's a huge mythology about mental illness that, you know, once you have a mental illness, you're broken, you're no longer could work, you're no longer valuable. We offset that with our programming and with our narratives. And then there's self-stigma.
Right.
And so let's talk about how do we feel and what can we tell folks to help to have an impact on reducing stigma in dealing with mental health conditions, because it's still huge. Every academic study that comes out still lists stigma as the biggest barrier to that 65% of people who aren't getting help.
Yeah, and it's astounding because, you know, working at NAMI and being around so many other nonprofits that are on board with mental health, sometimes you kind of forget that the rest of the world is not necessarily on the same page as you yet. You know, I'll be at an outreach event and there'll be some people that come up to us and they're very excited and they're like, this is free, like this is available. And I'm like, yes, great. And we connect and it's wonderful. And then there are still the people that will pass by and they'll sort of like read the sign and then they're like, mental illness, oh no. And
yeah, they'll put their jacket over their head and keep walking.
They'll run
right?
for the hills. They'll look at me like, okay, no, absolutely not. But, you know, one of the main things that we do talk about, especially in ending the silence, is how important it is to talk about it, open the conversation, and share the resources and information, which is why we give the students wristbands. I think you're wearing one today, Susan. There it is.
It says stigma-free. I wear it all the time.
Yeah. And so, you know, sort of giving them opportunities to see that it's okay to talk about it, that we're talking about it, and showing as an example, you know, that we're not afraid. And that's why it's so important that we have those celebrities as well and all of that. And that's why it's so important that we have events promoting this kind of awareness, that we do big community events that share this information.
And I think you have one coming up. So let's talk about it.
As a matter of fact, we do. So May 21st, Maurice A. Ferre Park, aka Museum Park. That is the setting for our Walk for Mental Health Awareness in 2022. As we did last year, we had a hybrid event. It wasn't quite the original walk that we had imagined. We had big plans for that, but as we know, the pandemic did get in the way of some of our plans. But we were able to gather in small groups around Miami-Dade last year, May being Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we had people in Peacock Park, we had a Sant Law group in North Miami, we had friends in Hialeah, we had people all over in small, safe groups outside walking together, all for mental health awareness with their signs, with their masks, and taking pictures and sharing it on social media and showing the world, hey, we're part of this together. And of course, with our opening ceremony for Walk Day, we had Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, Congressman Jimenez, all of these different people, showing up and, creating videos, but showing their support either way for us, for our walk, and especially for mental health awareness, which, we were still really in the depths of the pandemic back then. So,
but it gets better now.
It gets much better.
Let us know how it gets better.
Okay, so this year we already have 101 teams. So we've surpassed our team goal from last year, and we are hoping to reach a goal of 125 teams this year. So if you want to register for the walk, NAMIMiami.org is a good place to go. You can sign up for your team. You can add your family members, friends, share this information everywhere. And you can walk, either as with your company, with your friends, or, in honor of someone. We have a lot of teams this year who are walking in honor of someone that has passed, either due to suicide or just because they had complications with their mental health. And so this is a really good opportunity for them to grieve, but also to celebrate that person's life. And we have some really amazing teams on board this year. And so
we need 24 more teams.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this podcast, join us.
Yes.
Set up a team. If you're not comfortable setting up a team, you can join mine or Kate's.
Yes.
Or any of the teams already set up. The important thing is, as they say, showing up.
Absolutely.
Showing up to support mental wellness, showing up to show that as a community we're coming together to meet and to collaborate on mental health. And we will also be having brief presentations of our 2 signature prevention programs, Ending the Silence that Kate talked about, and a new suicide prevention program that we are providing to the community called QPR, Question, Persuade, and Refer. In addition to the walk, we are really raising awareness of suicide prevention. Not every suicide situation can be prevented, but all of us are gatekeepers and our brothers keepers in the community to learn what the warning signs are and how to talk to someone who is in distress. And NAMI Miami, you'll see in billboards and radio with our partner Univision, who is our partner not only for the walk, but for our suicide prevention program. You will see a messaging throughout the community this month for May Mental Health Awareness Month. So what do we have planned for the walk?
Well, we have a few fun things planned. So I think with the beginning of the walk, we're going to have some fun presentations, including some Miami Heat dancers.
Miami Heat dancers.
Yes,
Did everybody hear that? Fantastic.
So I think that's going to be really fun. And we're just going to be, partying over here for mental health.
In a beautiful location.
Oh,
There's no more beautiful location than Miami, right?
It's gorgeous. It's on the water. It's just beautiful. All the trees, open spaces. I don't think we could have done better. And so not only will there be Heat dancers, but we will also have a special appearance from a friendly canine therapy dog named Amanda.
Oh, wow.
So I know everyone is excited to pet the dog. So please come meet Amanda. She is excited for all of the pets. She'll be around.
Now she's with the Miami-Dade Police Police Department. Okay, yes. Fantastic.
So they're very excited to bring her. And she's actually named after law enforcement officer who passed away. And so I think it's really beautiful that, I think if that happened, that's what I would want, honestly. I think it's really sweet. And then, of course, we have our MC, Pamela Silva, who is going to be joining us from Univision's Primer Impacto. Very, very exciting that she's going to be joining us for the walk.
She has won a number of Emmys, right?
6, I believe.
6 Emmy Awards. She is a major national anchor. And one of the exciting things about our partnership with Univision is that it's not only on the local level, it's on the national level as well.
Yeah, that's really
And
incredible.
we're thrilled, and thank you, Univision, for being a media sponsor and a long-term partner in supporting mental health. And talking about partners, tell us who is supporting us in this walk.
Absolutely. So we have our presenting sponsor, the Seminole Hard Rock Cafe, which I'm very happy that they'll be our sponsors. And then we also have our premier sponsors, the Key Biscayne Foundation and Deloitte. And so they'll be having
Thank you to them.
tables and tents at the walk as well.
And the walk will provide an opportunity for the community to get resources about mental health. Most of the key providers in the community will be there with tables and tents and brochures and representatives.
Yeah, such as gold sponsors such as Citrus Health Network as well. They will be there and they always have a lot of information. The Florida Health Department will be there. They'll be providing screenings and goodie bags for anyone that shows up with information about local resources and little goodies in the bags. So definitely show up for those.
So this is an opportunity to have a really good time and also to learn and also to connect with us and to learn about our programs and to meet our team and our people. So we only have a couple minutes left. So in terms of takeaway, what would you like folks to remember from this podcast and about NAMI in general?
So I think especially after everything we've been through together through the pandemic, this is really a celebration. I mean,
Yes.
we first of all, we've wanted to plan this walk for forever. So for us, we're
Oh my
actually
gosh,
getting to
how many
celebrate
years?
that we can finally do this. And we used to do the mental health film festival at the University of Miami, and it was such a disappointment that we couldn't do it over the pandemic. But as much as I love the film festival, I think everything we've talked about, it comes back to awareness and breaking the stigma. And I think a walk where everyone is really united, taking in that we're finally together outside in that Miami sunshine, hearing from so many important people that mental health is important, that we are here, that there are resources available, and that, it's far beyond the time for us to be ashamed about this. Like, we know 1 in 5 at this point, 1 in 4 are dealing with a mental health condition. No matter how well adjusted you are, you hit a low point at some point during this pandemic.
Exactly.
So I think this is in some ways a celebration of many different things, of our freedom, of being able to be together, and also sort of the end of hiding these issues underneath the rug, and that we want there to be more now. We're ready for more.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the takeaway for the community is that you're not alone. When my son was ill, he derived great comfort and joy from writing music about his journey through mental illness and recovery. And one of the songs he wrote is "You're Not Alone." And many times, mental health challenges can be isolating. People think that they're the only ones going through it as a family member or as an individual living with it. And certainly our programs, but also our walk, seeing really, the whole community turning out, hundreds of people enjoying and celebrating mental wellness, having major national network anchors feel strongly enough about this to give up their Saturday morning, as Pamela Silva is, seeing organizations like Deloitte who are committed to their employees' mental wellness and understand the importance of partnering and celebrating, as you mentioned, on so many different levels. People need to realize you're not alone. There's nothing to be afraid of if you have a mental health crisis. There's nothing to be afraid of if your loved one does. It's a medical illness, just like any other illness. It's highly treatable, which is what our Ending the Silence youth presenters continue to underscore, that it is not a derailment of life. It is dealing with an illness that is treatable and manageable, and that there are resources. Resources are a phone call away or a computer click away, NAMIMiami.org or 305-665-2540. Come join it. We've become a movement. This is a mental health movement. And And we, along with celebrities, along with the community leaders, have said mental health matters. It matters in the schools, it matters in the workplace, it matters in the family, and it matters in the community. And we all take care of each other. I would say that our next program will focus on our suicide prevention program, which is powerful, which is impactful, and like our other programs, educational, but in very digestible bites.
And it can save lives.
And it can save lives. So we need to know the education behind mental health so that we know when we can have that conversation with an individual. How do you feel? Is there anything I can do? Can I help? Or if something is in a severe situation, know exactly what to do. So come join Kate and me and our amazing NAMI team on May 21st, 8 to 11 a.m., Maurice Ferré Park downtown,
AKA Museum Park.
AKA Museum Park. Come meet Amanda.
Yes.
Come see Pamela Silva in person.
Take some selfies with heat dancers. They'll
Take
be
some
around.
selfies with heat dancers. Have free food, lots of giveaways, and most important, lots of education. We look forward to seeing you. And again, everything that NAMI Miami does is free of charge. The walk is free of charge. We do raise funds in the walk to promote and permit us to scale up our programs. If you don't register for the walk, just come. Just join the movement and help us declare that mental health matters, mental wellness, and mental health for all. And thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, community newspapers.